All right. Everybody get cozy. There's a lot of people here. Not too bad. Nice work, guys. Huh. So, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Avery Schrader. I founded a company called Modash. Our goal is to get everybody who likes to make cool stuff like this and put it online paid so that they don't have to work their stupid day job anymore. This is Alari Aho. I'm going to let him speak for himself, but first I want to say thank you all so much. It's super cool that you're here. I don't think anybody in the audience, whether even my own team, knows how much I appreciate them or how much I appreciate you guys for coming, because, I mean, you have things to do. Yeah, without further ado, oh, green light, green means go. Does it work? Alari Aho, how are you?
Fine, thank you. And thank you for being here, and thank you for inviting me here to talk.
To LIFTOFF.
Yes, cheers. Terviseks.
Yes, terviseks. So, Alari, do you know why I pulled you over today?
Yes, so I don't know. Yeah, because there are so many like cool success stories recent years in Estonian startup scene. So yeah, I guess there's a lot of competition for talkers.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool for me to get to speak to so many cool people, but the reason that I brought you here today is because you started a little project called Toggl, and I thought it was interesting enough to talk about for a while. So can you introduce us to Toggl and who you are and what your role in that place is, and give us the quick rundown?
Yes, so my personal background is that I'm like in mindset, I'm an engineer. I have been a software developer like for, I don't know, 30 years. Most of this time professionally, and I like to build things. And I have built many projects over my short lifetime. But yeah, it seems that Toggl is like the most successful of those. And basically, Toggl is a simple tool for tracking time. If you have clients, projects, or just you want to know where did the time go, so you can use Toggl.
Huh. One thing that's really interesting to me about Alari is actually the pattern of bad things happening and Alari turning them into something really cool. And the first one was when you were a kid and you broke your leg.
Yes, that's a really like stupid story how to fuck up your summer. So I was in the 9th grade. I don't know how old was it, 14, 15, something. Yeah. So I had next day I had English final exam for the 9th grade. I was studying for it. It was really like beautiful day outside. I thought, fuck it, I will go skateboarding.
Of course.
Just a quick skateboard. And then I broke my leg so badly that I had to spend 3 months indoors. And basically, first steps I took was the 1st of September to go back to school. But yeah, and we lived on a 5th floor with no elevator, so it was pretty inconvenient to go outside. So luckily I had an uncle from Sweden, and they just this year or last year they had sent us an old computer which barely worked. And the bad thing about this computer was that it did not have any games. So yeah, I spent like three months indoors looking at this computer and started just developing games to be entertained. Yeah.
What is this thing?
It's a Yamaha MSX computer, and you could develop it in BASIC, like early version of MSX BASIC. So yeah, and you can do a lot of cool games with BASIC actually.
So this is how you got your start as a software engineer in a way.
Yes.
What year was it? Do you?
It was 1989, I guess, or 1990, something like that.
And I looked into it, and it was actually not until 10 years later that the first software engineering degree was ever offered. You could, for the first time ever, you could take a software engineering degree. I think it was 1998 or something like that.
It can be, but actually, I was born in Tartu and grown up in Tartu, and in Tartu University, I guess also in Tallinn Technical University in the 90s there was a very vibrant community of software guys, mostly from like mathematics department, even if it was not official, like computer science.
Yeah. What was it about that summer as a kid who was trying to kind of skip out on studying for his English exam and broke his leg skateboarding? What was it about that first piece of development that hooked you in so much? Because even now when I talk to you about your projects and we meet up, you jump immediately to the product and how cool the product is. And what is it about building that's so hooked you in?
I think that every developer or engineer knows that it's so cool if you get something to work or something running. So yeah, I guess it's maybe I'm born with it. I don't know.
Born with code in your blood. So you break your leg. You grow up. Normal life.
Yeah.
Coding.
Fast forward. I was in the 11th grade, and then I already did commercial gigs. So I earned my first money, and back then it was like for a school kid it was quite big money. Yeah. And I just spent it all on computers very stupidly. I should have bought real estate instead.
That's super cool. So then you do these first gigs, you graduated high school, you didn't skip out on studying too much. I guess you finished high school.
No, I was always studying and working at the same time. Okay. So I went straight to university, studied physics for 2 years, then skipped to economics, and I graduated from economics in Tartu University.
Really? So you didn't even take the direction necessarily of development?
No. I was really bad at math. I wouldn't have got into the math department, I guess.
Huh, okay. And it didn't, I think your leap into entrepreneurship didn't really start with a tech startup per se. You started an agency with your brother, correct? Yeah. Yes,
I guess in the 90s, the idea of a startup was not very common. Maybe it was in the States, but not here in Estonia. And so we started a consultancy company in year 2000.
Yes.
Operating out of Estonia, serving Estonian clients. We did banking software, ticketing, all that stuff. But the biggest problem with doing consultancy in Estonian market is that the Estonian market is the smallest market in the world. So basically, if you want to specialize in a vertical, you do software for real estate companies. You sell it to 3 companies, and then that's the whole market.
So you can 100% market penetration right from the get-go.
Exactly, and so we had the desire, and from the first day, basically, we had the wish and desire to have a product that we can sell globally over the internet. And at the same time, Skype started in Estonia, and it was a really big example of how it's possible to do.
Huh. Yeah. It's always interesting to hear about Skype for me, because for me now being here, my first kind of startup ecosystem, and I see what's happening in the scene with every week it seems there's a new funding announcement or somebody's going global or whatever. So I can only imagine what it was when that first seed was kind of planted.
But the Skype guys actually before that they already had several successes, and even early 90s they were a gaming company and they did some games. They started out selling games early 90s to Swedish market, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did pretty well. The same core team.
Were you playing the games?
Yeah. And then they failed big time with the game in mid 90s, and then after that they went into peer-to-peer, I guess.
Yeah, that wasn't yours. No. Skype wasn't yours. So you build the agency, you want to build a product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then basically how we ended up with Toggl was that it was not a deliberate idea that now we start doing time tracking and we will conquer the world. It was more let's just do something and let's just take something. And we had developed a simple widget for our in-house use that we used to build clients. And then we just, let's take this widget and let's just release it as a product. And we started in 2006. It took us 3 months. We developed the brand. we developed the website. We more or less we like put makeup on the widget so it would be more presentable, and then we released Toggl 2006 in August. And in like first month we had 3,500 signups. Then it was like pretty like wow, it could work. and this is the like initial team. The girl in the middle is Bridget, and she joined us through ISEC as an intern for 6 months, and she was a really big help. So from the get-go, we wanted to look like a US company, like a US product, the website, the copy, all the product, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And she helped us a lot.
It must be pretty cool for Bridget now. She was the intern at Toggl. The first was
Yeah.
So it was you. This is Krister on the
Yes,
right, correct?
Yes.
And then Bridget was the very first.
This
Was the whole team.
Yeah, and she joined us even before we had the name Toggl.
Huh.
Yeah.
Very cool. And you
And notice that we don't have any Macs, so this shows that how lame we were like in the early days.
doesn't even count as a startup.
Yeah.
You didn't leap into Toggl with both feet in the very beginning.
No, we made. I think now looking back, it was a big mistake. So we took Toggl as a side project for 3 years. After releasing it, we just had like one developer, like part-time, sometimes improving it, and we still wanted to earn money from the gigs in Estonian market, and it was, I think, yeah, we lost like the 3 years. But
so you built the thing, you got users, you spent 3 years kind of with it as a side hustle.
It kept growing, even if we didn't do anything.
Die.
Yeah, that was surprising.
At what point did you decide to go all in with Toggl?
Mm-hmm. So luckily we had like a huge recession, the global recession of 2008, and yeah, it was a big lesson learned for me, even looking at these days, that how fast things can go really bad. Like it was like in days we lost, like in basically over 1 week we lost half of the revenues from the consultancy. So basically we suddenly did not have any projects and any revenue coming in, and we had some idle developers, and luckily we had some money in the bank. So we decided that okay, now is the time, let's focus on Toggl.
Try to make this thing grow.
Yeah.
This is one of the original kind of user interfaces or the whole thing of what Toggl was.
Yes.
And I think it really speaks to the words minimum viable product.
I almost designed it myself. Yeah, and it's even though it looks like a piece of shit, it brought a lot of signups over its lifetime. Lifetime was less than a year, but I guess it was over 10,000 signups or more, with this website. So it worked. back then. Yeah.
What did that teach you about MVP building? Because I know when you spoke to me about product, one thing that you seemed kind of proud of the fact that you hadn't wasted the time to make everything perfect and fancy and amazing and then try to launch.
Yeah, I guess that all of you have heard, like, luckily these days there is so vibrant startup community that you get a lot of mentors, lot of like help. So I guess that everyone of you here has experienced that. Don't try to make things perfect. Just do them. So yeah, but I don't know, instinctively maybe we started out like that. So yeah, the first version of Toggl was really bad. Actually, the design was so bad that we even did not have like a full-time designer first couple of years. And at some point we had, like, you see the interface is like blue. We had like, I don't know, 25 different flavors of blue because just developers just chose them. It was like a big mess.
So it's just blue everywhere.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, isn't that the rule of design I learned recently is like if you don't know what color to pick, you pick blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like blue.
Decent color, yeah. So you jumped into Toggl, both feet. This is again an example of how Alari and I guess Krister and the whole the whole process went in this pattern of like when something bad happens, you move around it, and this economic crash happened. You jumped into Toggl, and what was the next? Oh, wrong way. What was the next step for you guys?
So yeah, we started like growing, yeah, but mostly we focused on product. So we even did not start marketing like until 2011 or something. It was really organic. Even now we have like, when we do surveys of new signups, then we have 40% of all new signups are word of mouth. So like people come in from personal recommendation, which is basically like the biggest marketing channel for us so far. And the rest is also 40% is search. So we originally, and even now we do a lot of SEO. Yeah. So and maybe this is also like the second big mistake of Toggl so far, looking back, that we should have invested into marketing a lot earlier and a lot more.
Yeah, what was the difference for you guys in growing the agency and growing the startup? Because this is two very different worlds.
These are really different worlds, yeah. It's like, it's maybe a bad like analogy, but in my experience, like being in a consultancy business is like being a junkie. You always want to get the next hit, running around getting new clients all the time. And so you barely can finish the project, and then you have to have a next one because you need revenue. Yeah. So it's like ongoing thing. You don't have time to like really work on the thing to be like a top quality. Yes, with the product it's totally different. You have all the time in the world, and you can just work on the details.
Yeah, but I mean, you moved pretty quick on the details. Overcoming those obstacles, you went from the side hustle, you did the full-time gig, you grew super fast, and one thing that people love about Toggl is the fact that you didn't just jump in and raise a whole bunch of money really quickly and try to scale the company. And I think there's a lot of lessons in that process of bootstrapping. So to date, Toggl has never raised money.
Yes, not yet. So when we started out back in 2006, we had some like latent interest from investors, but they ended up saying that why the hell are you doing time tracking? It's the market is done. There are hundreds of tools out there. Just stop doing it. And but we didn't. So yeah, initially we were forced to bootstrap. There was in 2006 there was no opportunity to raise money in Estonia in any reasonable like terms. Luckily we had revenues from the agency, so we started out like that, and then it grew like into the culture. We were extremely efficient with money, with growth, and yeah.
And you've written a lot about this and kind of about the thought process behind it and the learnings behind it. This I took from a blog that you wrote about why bootstrapping can in a lot of cases be the best option, at least to a point.
Yeah, there are so many success stories with raising money, but the problem with like all the stories is that they are very biased. So you only hear success stories, and not so often you hear not so successful stories. I guess I don't know the actual percentages, but I guess that maybe 90% of all like money raised is on failed projects. That the companies that don't end up being successful. So in my opinion, that raising money is a right thing to do if you know how to handle it. So I compare it to a very sharp tool. So you can cut yourself really badly if you don't use it well.
Yeah, what you talked about in one blog post was this system, the idea that finding product market fit is maybe not the best time to
raise,
because it's so volatile and you're just spinning trying to find the right path, and if you inject fuel there, then it just makes the process even crazier.
Yes. So you have to have some kind of traction, in my opinion, to start scaling the company, and then if you find a way to make the money work for you in an efficient way, then.
Do you feel that Toggl will raise in the future?
Yeah, during last year I have talked to 20 plus investors. Like
Wow.
there's a immense interest. Maybe it's the market now. I don't know how is it with other companies, but there's immense interest from the investor side. But we mostly we have been like just listening, learning, and but not rushing.
When do you think, like, or why do you think this kind of culture of raising money has come about so crazy? I mean, especially in the U.S., I think, and in Canada even, there's a real hype around raising money versus even getting customers, I would say. Do you think this is a problem, or it's totally cool, people should raise all the money they want?
Yeah, I think that it's the value proposition for entrepreneurs is very good. That you don't have to worry about the future of the company. You don't need to worry about the first 2 years. Just get the money and start working on the product. But there are so many catches that even if the product turns out to be successful, then the first the money is the most expensive money in the world. So the piece of the company that you give away for $50,000 is it's a very expensive money.
Was there ever a point after that first failure when you tried to raise for Toggl, it didn't make it happen? Was there ever a point in the future where you thought maybe now's the time to raise, or it was instantly embedded in the culture and the way you guys operate?
We have tried to find ways that what should we do with the money, and we always ask the investors that, in your opinion, what should we do with the money, and it's interesting that most of the investors say that you guys at Toggl, that you are so product oriented and you should do much more marketing. But when we ask them that in their portfolio, that who are the most successful companies and what do they do, then they always say that they invest a lot into product. Yeah. It's like what women want.
How do you think entrepreneurs, especially in the early stage now, when it is possible a lot of times, if you can show the slightest bit of traction or opportunity, or you're in a really hypeable industry, how do you think, what if somebody walked up to me and offered me $1 million right now, it would be really difficult for me to say no. But do you think, how can I avoid that kind of temptation? What should my thought process be like?
Yeah, I think that if you want to be entrepreneur, then it should not be like, especially the start should not be too easy, because I have been like for quite longer period like a CEO running the company, and there's always something that is blowing up like on a daily basis, even if from outside it looks that everything is cool. So it's like ongoing battle being an entrepreneur, and I think that you can't be too soft on it, and you have to be creative. And especially in the early days, you don't need too much money. So maybe you don't need $1 million. Maybe you can do similar thing with outsourced people, with like working a bit more. Maybe you can do it with like $50,000, and maybe you can find creative ways to how to put it up yourself. Yeah.
Being so product oriented, did that at all challenge you as a CEO? Because you had Krister as the CTO. For the longest time, up until very recently. And then for you, was this role, did it also come naturally of kind of or you just took a very technical direction on being CEO, or?
No, I think that in Toggl we have worked a lot on culture. So it's obvious that looking at the long-term success of companies, then people are number one thing, who you hire and how you treat them. And so from being a natural introvert, for me it has been really hard to work with people. Yeah. But it was the thing that we basically started doing early, 7-8 years ago, like really focusing on the team. Yeah.
How did you, that's a big obstacle to overcome again, even that idea of being introverted and trying to lead a really quickly growing startup with a really crazy team, and you never did the tech startup thing before, you came from agency. How did you overcome that, being the introverted part of yourself? I mean, now you sit in front of all these people. And
I remember in the early days when I had 3 meetings in a day, afterwards I was exhausted, doing 3 meetings one-on-one or with more people, it was really exhaustive, you know. But you get better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
You just suffer long enough.
Yeah, in couple of years, it was like 5-6 more meetings. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. The culture and kind of the brand of Toggl is really cool to me because it's a little bit wacky in a lot of ways, and it feels somehow really genuine, I guess is the word I'd use. Toggl does these crazy comics. Actually, Mart is here somewhere, one of the guys who makes these crazy things. And there's a startup unicorn simulator, which we put in the event stream and in the Facebook event, and somebody got very angry at us about it. I don't know.
Very good.
Yeah. But this kind of, how did the culture evolve, and how did it solidify itself as this maybe a productivity tool that's very product oriented? The brand is very much about comics and being crazy, and like you really bridge the gap between being human and being product oriented technical guys. How did this come about? How did you build such a culture?
And that's a good question. So let me. So yeah, culture was and has been always like really important for us. So we really put a lot of effort into building trust and open culture with people. So basically, and the people then themselves have built the culture. Basically, I did not tell Mart that, no, Mart, start drawing these comics now and make them funny.
Funnier, Mart.
Yeah, we need funnier comics. No, so basically it was the culture that led us to Mart, and who led us to like most successful like marketing stunts we have ever done. Yeah.
Go Mart.
Yeah.
Huh. But I think that even outside of the comics, it seems like the Toggl culture and the team is tight-knit. Was there a methodology or a framework or any kind of principles you guys adopted to try to make that happen? Or was it just a product of who you were and how you treated people?
No, there was a lot of specific effort. With, like every event we're doing, every how we set up the teams that we have tried to be, the people are involved, the management style is open. There's a lot of trust, but there are still goals, so it's like balanced. It's not just like a bunch of hippies. So yeah, somehow it has worked.
Yeah, okay. And one thing that you've done, maybe even making culture more impressive, is the insane remote work culture you guys have at Toggl.
Yeah. So yeah, this is our team, where they're working from. Yeah, I remember it was like 2013, 5 years ago. We were a team of only Estonians sitting in the same office in Tallinn, and basically all the team members were from the same university. So it was like a monocultural team with capital M. And we had a huge problem back then. It was almost impossible to hire developers out of Tallinn. I guess it's even harder now. But then it was really bad. I remember one case that we had looked for like a back-end developer for 6 months. We found a guy and then we had to fire him because he was not too good. And then was the moment we thought that, oh my God, there has to be another way.
There's got to be a better way.
Because look at the future, like the Estonian demographic situation. That it was evident that it was not getting any better.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times, even being in the community here, asking about recruiting and that sort of thing, even somebody who's got as little experience as I do, it seems really obvious that you kind of have to look outwards. Somebody asked me how to recruit. I said, don't bother with Estonia, just call your friends in the other side of the world and fly them here, or whatever it takes. So basically we had 3 options. Should we set up an office in somewhere like a bigger city, like Berlin, London, New York, San Francisco? Should we start bringing people to Estonia, or should we go remote? I went around asking like other startup guys that, what do you think, how you are doing? Setting up an office in New York, I remember one Estonian startup who had done it. So he said that, yeah, you just take a
big pile of $100 bills and set it on fire, and you have office in New York. It was not very appealing idea. Then
burning $100 bills.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like money, so it seems like awkward to burn it. And then the second idea was to bring people to Estonia, but thinking about that, especially if people have families, or I know that there are many companies in Estonia who successfully do it, but still the subset of people who are actually willing to relocate to Tallinn is not very big. And we have asked our team members from out of Brazil that what do you think, moving to Tallinn?
Yeah.
No way.
Too cold.
No way. Yes. So we and it seemed like remote for us was the easiest thing to try out. Just get a couple of guys, see how it works out. Although basically all of the startups in Tallinn told me that in 2013 that it doesn't work out. Don't even try. Because how do you know that the people are working? This is always number one question. How do you know that people are working? But I have a question that in the office, how do you know that they're actually working?
You have to use Toggl.
You can fake time entries. So So 2014 we hired the first guy from Spain. Then quite quickly, in a couple of months, we already had 5 people from Poland, from US, from Slovakia, so it started getting diverse really quickly. And then eventually we had to change a lot as a company. So you can't be half pregnant with remote work. It was the first experience we had.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, you have to go full in. You can't just have some people because, when we were Estonians in Tallinn, then most of the communication was verbal, and it was in Estonian language.
How big is how big is the team now, and what percentage of it is remote?
Me peame nüüd järgmine nädal laivi minema kohe, muidu me ei saa.
Järgmine Berto Sobojaama.
Muidu on suur jama. So we had to change immediately to English, even if the team had basically all Estonians, we started writing in English, and we turned all the communication into written format.
People must have hated you in the beginning, yeah?
Yes, and there were so cool examples. We had 2 guys, I remember really well. One was Ervin, another was Sergei. They were so anti-remote. They said that it won't work out. I hate working at home. I want to be in the office all the time. So, I remember so well. So when we started out, then we did a week. We said, okay, you can't come to the office. We will shut the doors. Just work from home. And after this week, the most anti guy, he even did not show up in the office anymore because he said, oh, that was really nice.
So not only did you start hiring remote, but you sent your workers home.
Yes, in Estonia, yeah.
That's actually a good idea to kind of get people in the right mentality about it, yeah?
Yes, you have to experience it. You can't just, otherwise you're just afraid of shadows or that there's dark outside. I don't want to go outside.
You talked about burning money or buying an office in New York. Mm-hmm. But you once told me actually, and I read that you guys spent tens and tens of thousands of euros even in the early days on remote working and trips and that sort of stuff. But if I understand...
Yeah, another mindset or another question we get a lot is that, okay, why are you doing this? Are you just trying to save on salaries or trying to save on taxes? Or why are you doing this exotic way of working? So no, it's not a cost-cutting method for us, definitely. It's very far from that. So I think that we are not saving any money on people. Maybe we spend a bit even more about what we would spend in Estonia. But I think that the key issue about going remote is the pool of candidates you get. So to give you an example that when you hire from Estonia, I guess that if you have 10 strong candidates per position for a developer, then it is a really, really, really good thing. But we get 1,000+ candidates on a routine basis for developer positions. Is it mobile developer, front-end developer, back-end developer, 1,000 plus all the time? Because the world population is 7 billion. There's a lot of people to choose from. And the second thing, like big myth is that the sharpest developers are living in Silicon Valley or the best programmers are in Tallinn. This is a big bullshit. We have found like crazy good developers from like woods out of Bosnia or in New Delhi or in Maceió, Brazil or in Quincy, California. Or yeah, it's people are all around, and they have so many reasons not to live in like big cities, and they like working remote. And basically, working remotely is like maybe the only option to have like a really good job for them.
Yeah, and Toggl has like gone big on remote working too. As soon as you guys start to talk about something, you like do it for real. And you've published this guide on remote working, kind of a handbook.
Yeah, check this out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool. You can find it's free online. Like you don't even need an email or something. I don't know. But would you say that remote working is viable for really early stage startups? Is there a certain point where people should start to think about this?
You can transform yourself, but I would suggest nowadays, looking back at our experience, that have we ever thought that, oh God, we should go back to working in the office? No, it doesn't work. No, we haven't had like a fraction of a second not even thinking about this. So I think that it's easier to start out from day one than to transform later on. And eventually you will everyone transform to remote work. I'm pretty certain of it. Maybe it takes 5 years or more, but yeah.
I know that that this idea of remote working still lives strong because somebody who's been in your office told me that even now when you go there, there's nobody there.
Yeah, that's a sad fact.
Nobody's working in Toggl.
Having a big office in the city center and 3 people in it, so it's... Yeah, but we signed the lease before the remote thing got really big for us.
What do you think is what sort of things should people keep in mind if they want to build remote teams? You're a startup founder, maybe you're ready you've hit that scale level, you just raised your $100 gazillion, you're on the front page of TechCrunch, and now you need to hire a remote. What should people keep in mind? The rapid fire.
So when we started, we always tried to hire people who had done it before. So people would teach us how to work remotely. And the second big thing is team leads. The key is people leading the teams. They are like the key person. If a team lead fucks up, then the whole team basically disintegrates, because there's the social interaction or social integration is not so like big. So yeah, so you need like very good people as a team lead, and you should also build personal relations. So you can't just have a remote team that never meets. Yeah, we meet 4 times a year. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When I keep going too far. When I first started looking into the mind of Alari Aho, I had this really horrible misconception. It was that because you'd recently moved away from the CEO role at Toggl, which I'd like to talk about a little bit, but I thought maybe you were cutting back.
Yeah,
and
golf and yachts and all that stuff. Yeah.
Taking a deep breath, not enjoying life, whatever.
Exotic trips. Yeah.
Boring stuff. But it's not true. What are you doing now? I mean, there's a long list of projects here.
Yeah, similar to Toggl, we have released a couple of new products that have grown out of our own need. Teamweek is a team planning tool. Like for agencies or any teams that who need to know that what John is doing the next week or what Mary is doing the next Tuesday, like planning ahead like a couple of weeks. And Hundred5 is a hiring tool that we have used ourselves for 4 years, and it has worked. Before Hundred5 we had like hiring was #1 problem with a wide margin. Now hiring is like number 20 problem, because we always know that it's just a question of time. We need a mobile developer. We know that in 2 months we have a really good mobile developer. It's like, no question. So,
what was the feeling like? We're going to talk more about especially Hundred5 because it is really impressive actually. But what was the process like for you, or why did you decide to step away from the CEO role at Toggl? What is your role there now? What's the...
Yeah, I was a CEO for 10 years, and it was... I know you're 20.
I've never been anything for
like,
10 years.
It's like a history of the world for you duration. But yeah, so I felt that I don't want to be like Kim Il-sung or Fidel Castro that like...
Oh, that's a good start.
Yeah, so a guy who knows everything and runs the company until he dies. So I don't want to be that guy. So yeah. You should get like fresh people in all the time.
Was it hard for you to kind of step away? I mean, 10 years is a long time.
It's still hard. Yeah, because Christer actually we had a big conflict a while ago. He told me that you have to step back.
Really?
Yeah, you can't have like 2 cooks in the kitchen, and I'm still like trying to be hands-on. And
so after the transition,
you have to let go. Yeah, it's very hard.
Yeah. What was that conversation like? You guys still friends?
Yeah, no, we yell a lot at each other, so sometimes colleagues get stressed that why are they yelling so like loudly.
You guys worked together for 10 years.
Yeah.
Even longer?
Even longer, yeah.
You still like each other?
It's professional, it's professional.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes more sense. Since we have a little bit more time, one other thing, again, that's really interesting about you for me is the fact that while these projects are doing well, Toggl's doing well, you've had your glory and there's still more to come, you've written about the failures that have been there too, and the list of failures is significantly longer, I would say, than the list of successes, and I think there's an important message there again. What were the highlights of your failure career?
Yeah, in the mid-2000s when we released Toggl, we had some other projects, almost 10 different projects that we tried to release as a product, because we believed that maybe the time tracking is, maybe it's too small of an opportunity and we should have something bigger. And all of the other projects failed. Luckily, they failed like in pretty small scale. So for me, like the decision, like point of a new project, is it a potential success or not, is user traction. So I always look at user traction. So you should get like in first 6 months, you should get like at least 100 people using the product. Otherwise, don't waste your time on it. So if you don't have 100 users in 6 months, so from the start, so just forget it, do something else.
So that's how you knew when to kill the project.
Yeah.
And
it's always like Salvador Dali said once that, or is it Picasso, that
don't ask me, man.
My history grade was C. So anyway, some artist guy said that the best way
guy with a paintbrush.
The best way to have a great idea is to have many ideas and then choose from. Yeah.
Huh. How did you know, other than, 100 users in 6 months, maybe some people still hold on, depends on the price point maybe of the product. Was there other signs where you're like, okay, this is a failure? Was there ever a point in that up and down, even when you were like, that was the last one, I'm done, I'm going back to my day job?
This is my day job, building products. Yeah, I think that whatever you do now, if you do any startup, if you do any product, always try to do a scalable thing. Because internet these days, doing a scalable, you put in the same effort as you would put into a consultancy or agency, but the potential return is like 10 orders of magnitude bigger. Because we did the agency for almost 10 years, and when we tried to sell it after 10 years, nobody wanted to buy it. So basically we gave away clients for free to competitors, and we just said, fuck it, let's... Yeah, but luckily Toggl now has some kind of intrinsic value also, even if we don't do anything with it anymore.
Yeah, then, because a lot of these failures kind of happened it was in the midst of Toggl. Toggl existed, you were trying other projects still. Yes. You weren't sure about Toggl, I think was even though you exceeded your 100 people rule. Yeah. How did you balance those things? Or you had the agency, you have Toggl, you have like X company that's trying to get off the ground. How do you balance all of that, and was that the right decision?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Balancing, it's maybe it's the agency background that you always have like 10 different projects going on, 20 different clients, always like some kind of shit hitting the fan. So you get used to this, like the tempo and like juggling different things. Yeah. So that was a good training, 10 years.
So it was like a force of habit for you, maybe.
Yeah.
Huh. And going back to Hundred5 and the crazy work you guys are doing there.
Yeah, these are actual numbers. Take a moment. I just made a screenshot yesterday.
Yeah. How long does did these jobs probably take to fill up that many candidates? Because back-end developer,
so okay, this has been
people.
This has been around a bit more than maybe, I don't know, half a year, something like that.
These job openings.
Yeah, but we are not campaigning all the time, so it's like on and off.
Can you explain Hundred5 and give the kind of what was the life cycle of this? This came about because you couldn't hire people, and
yes. So the key to hiring developers is that any good developer is not looking for a job. They are already employed.
TransferWise already has them.
Yeah. So finding a good developer who is unemployed, actively looking for a job is. This thing does not exist. Maybe only in a short period of time. So you have to engage developers in some other way because they don't go to job portals to scan like openings. Most of them don't. So we like we gamified the process. So we engage developers with a small quiz, and it works remarkably well. And the second thing we do is that we engage potential candidates through Facebook, because still people spend a lot of time in Facebook. So for us, it's the number one channel for hiring people.
How does Hundred5 actually work? What is the whole system?
So yeah, you see a job ad from Toggl, take a test, win a T-shirt.
Okay.
Click on it, then you can just. We even don't have like a very long job description. We just have like 3 sentences, and we always publish the salary, so so people know that are they willing to spend any time on it or not. And then just they click. The call to action is to take the test. Usually it's like 15, maximum 20 minutes. And we have had guys now working in Toggl, like I guess maybe it's even majority, who said that, oh my God, I was not even looking for a job. I just took the test and then we take over. If like out of these 2,000 guys, maybe like 30, 40 are any good. So then we take it personal. We engage them, we do test drives, test weeks, and then we hire them. Yeah.
You once said that getting the leaders right was really key in the company.
Yes.
How do you hire for that idea?
So far, we have all of our team leads have grown out of Toggl. They have started out as a specialist, as a developer, as a support agent, as just a marketer. And they have evolved into team leads in a couple of years. So it has been our policy so far.
And is that like is that part of the Toggl culture? Do you guys just grow leaders like apples on a tree, or what?
Yeah. We have felt always that it's when you hire like a manager, then there are so many ways that a new guy can screw up. You hire a new guy, he has some power to change things. He has no idea of the culture, he has no idea of the product, no idea of the team, no idea of the clients, and he just goes gung ho. So it's always good that you have like some people that you already can trust, that know the context, and then give them opportunity to make decisions.
Yeah. And what else is on your to-do list nowadays? You're no longer CEO of Toggl. You're now running 3 companies. Or what is your role actually in like Teamweek, Hundred5, Toggl? What's your role in those places now?
I help the teams to grow. I hope I help teams to grow the products. I work with people. I talk to people a lot. I attend the events. Try to like understand the team, and what is the potential inside the team.
So you're kind of like, you don't have a really, because you're not leading the whole process of
Yes.
any of these. Is that, what's that like? Now you're juggling another 3 projects. Is it still?
Yeah, and also new initiatives that I always try to push, like the managers or CEOs, that we should like think bigger. We should do like bigger risks and also help with budgeting and finances.
Huh. Okay. Anything? What about the yachting and the vacationing?
Sorry, maybe in the 60s.
In 2060 or what?
No, when I'm in the 60s.
Okay. So that's it then. You're working.
Yeah, full time.
Every day, all day, after 10 years of CEOing.
Yeah, there is so much potential in Toggl. We see that we can easily still continue growing a lot.
How do you feel that the ecosystem is now in Estonia compared to when you first began?
Yeah, I think it's really great. I don't know, how do you feel about the thing that is going on in Lift and in the startup scene in Estonia? Say yeah if you like it.
How have things changed?
Yeah, I think that it has changed a lot. Like I remember that even 2010 or even like 2012, it was really quiet. So nothing like really happened. So it's really good that, and it seems that it's nowadays it's popular to do a startup, and it's very good. I think that there should be more entrepreneurs, especially when you're in your 20s. You should take risks. You should try it out, and because you don't have too much to lose, and you have all the time. Just do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to take a little bit of time to do Q&A and that sort of thing. One thing I'm going to say is that if you lovely people would be kind enough to go here to slido.com, you input this little code, and then you tell me and tell Lift99 how the show went. It's like a little NPS, and it helps us out. It helps us understand how to make the show better next time. But I want to jump into Q&A a little bit. We're close to the hour mark. Does anybody have a question for Alari Aho, the king of remote working?
Hi. I have a question. How did you come up with the price? And
Okay, price. So we have raised prices consistently. We started out really like with a low price. Basically, it was like $1 per team member per month. It was like the early days, and yeah, it's. I think that when you start out setting a price, then start out with a bigger price, because it's easier to lower it than it's to raise it. Because raising prices, if you have like amount of users already on it, it's like 1 year or more. It's a long process and people hate it.
So your pricing strategy is price high.
Yeah, we're trying it with Hundred5, but it seems that we're still too low.
So was it always the same, or it has changed over time?
It has changed every few years. Now I think that we should keep it a bit stable. Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, you have to work on the prices. It's not you just start out and you set it, but it's ongoing process. I would recommend to start higher. Yeah, you can always go lower. You can always do campaigns. Yeah, and the issue was that we thought that okay, if you have low-paying customers, then they won't turn into high-paying customers. Never. They hate paying, so they just leave. So yeah, it's a different demographic. Yeah.
I have 2 questions. One is, did you try to take a loan as well before going to venture capital?
We never like really considered it. Yeah.
Why not?
We have got like in the early days we got some government grants. Yeah. This is one way to go, but this is also quite expensive money because of the bureaucracy. You have to spend so much time on it. It's crazy. Yeah.
And second question is, when you were raising money or trying to raise money, do you have like a funny story when you said that you want to raise a lot of money to build a really cool stopwatch?
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a
it was
second.
the reaction was quite straightforward from one Estonian investor. I remember that he said that, "Guy, just forget it."
And he told you were building a really fancy stopwatch? Ouch.
No, he said that forget time tracking. It's a broken market, and it was 2006. Yeah. Already.
Huh.
I have a question. What was the target customer when you started the project, and did it change or evolve somehow to this point?
You know, we did not do like much of a profiling in the early days. We just tried a bunch of different things with growth. So, but now it actually the target customer, it somehow like we even did not like enter US market like with a definite purpose. It just somehow happened. So yeah, and since the early days, like US market is basically half of our traffic and half of our revenues, and the rest of the world is like another half. And also team size has been quite constant. So the average team size for us is like 6.6 something. So quite small teams also. And like half of their clients are in the IT sector in one way or another.
Okay, so those are companies or?
Paying users are mostly companies, free users are like 70% are using it alone.
Okay, thank you.
You have team members pretty much in every time zone in the world.
Yes.
How do you communicate, taking into account that some have like plus 10 hours, some have minus 5
So
hours?
it's very specific to each team. So the team leads have a lot of like right to say how they work. The toughest team is support, because they are like basically they have Asia Pacific, Europe and US, even US West Coast. And if you want to do like the all hands meeting in a support team, then somebody has to do it at midnight. So they have like tried to overcome it, that they are doing like 1 week they are doing Europe and Asia Pacific, and the next week they are doing Europe and US. Some development teams, yeah, it's up to the team lead. And it's also, I think that it's very important that the goals are communicated well, the tools are really good, that you don't, like, you have clear understanding that what you need to do as a developer or as a marketer, because mostly you are spending your time alone during the day.
Can you name a couple of tools that you use?
I guess these are nothing like fancy. We use GitHub a lot. We use Slack, Trello. We use Teamweek, Toggl.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah. So all the common stuff.
Is there any? Do you have anything that's really specific to managing remote workers, or even a piece of golden advice?
Trust them. Don't even ask people. Do they even work? Yeah, you have. If you are in your company, if you have the question, does the person even work, then you have bigger problems than people working remotely.
Yeah. Do you work? Just don't ask them that. Any other questions from the crowd? We have a little bit of time actually.
So you basically had no idea who your customers were,
Yeah, when we started out, we just released it. Yeah.
So you were just like.
We just released and.
Took that risk and say.
Yeah, and then we did not do like a business plan like this beforehand.
No, because a lot of startups nowadays, they always were trying to narrow everything down. Because with my startup, like, we're not like that. We're just.
You know, the market is always different of what you expect.
Exactly, like theory is one thing, but when it comes to practice, it's completely different. And there's no way you would know it from the start who will be your customer.
Well, I have been doing like a startup for 10 plus years. Last year we released Hundred5. And the first assumptions were all wrong.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. That's why, like, whenever I have conversations, like, but how do you know? There's no way you would know. You don't know how people mentality works, and
so you have to just go out to the market as soon as possible and get your
launch it, release it, and then see what happens.
Yes, and
because sometimes people don't know what they want. That's the problem.
Yes, and it's so different what they say and what they actually do.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like.
Yeah, you do. You have a focus group. You do a nice survey. Everything is looking fancy. Release it.
Exactly. That's why I'm like trying to figure this out, like, because it's all different.
I think it's all relative a little bit too, in my opinion. I mean, if you're selling like spaceship wings, then you probably have like a really specific.
No, what if it's a software? SaaS, then what?
Because in the case of Toggl, almost everybody can benefit from tracking their time. So you kind of have to learn which direction to go. But spaceships are different.
Yeah, but it's a highly specific market also, I guess, that it's not maybe even a scalable business model if you are servicing like a few customers. Yeah.
What about bootstrapping? You said, do you reckon you can apply that to any kind of startup, or it's more for physical products? No?
I don't think that there is like a certain playbook that if you do this, then
it's gonna work. Right?
It's gonna work. There is no playbook.
There's no Bible that can.
Yeah, there's no playbook for any company. So
that'd be a great book.
there are like billions of different varieties how you run a business.
Yeah, exactly.
Just find your own way, what works for you. If you like bootstrapping, do it. I think it's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
If you like raising money, just do it. In the end, you should be successful in any way. It's just yeah.
Let's do one more great question. Has to be great though. Oh, this one's gonna be good.
So actually, it's about the firing process, especially for people who are working remotely. How do and when do you know you should be firing that person?
Good one.
Yeah, I think that firing is a really important thing that, and you should do it as quickly as possible and as swiftly as possible, because keeping around a person who is not a good fit for the team, who is not productive, brings down the morale like in a big way. So never like postpone firing. I have done it in my life plenty of times, like giving one chance, you give another chance, you give a third chance, it will get better. But in 2 years you see that it's just a waste of time. So but you have to be very respectful. So it's important that you as an entrepreneur, you as a boss, you are always in the position of power, and also it means that you have the obligation to be respectful and graceful for the person. For me personally, it's really important, because it's not like that the person is wrong. Maybe it's just a wrong decision from your part to hire this person, or maybe it's just the chemistry doesn't work out, not a good match. Yeah. So it's always easy to blame and say that you fucked up, you're fired, but I don't recommend to do that. Yeah.
I think that one piece of advice that I only recently heard that kind of struck home was like hire fast and then get rid of people who hire fast, fire fast is a saying, right?
Yeah, but having like a big churn in your team is not also a good thing. So and I think the people who stay in the team, they always a bit nervous if the boss is like going around like with a like easy trigger like.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
I have one final question, and that is, which Teamweek or Hundred5 are going to be the next ones that are going to sit up there next to Toggl on the Estonian Mafia Wall of Fame? Do you want to call it right now?
Yeah, I hope both of them. It's like my daughters. Day? My daughters always ask me that, Daddy, who is your favorite daughter? It's like, yeah, how to answer that question like without.
Which one came first, actually?
Teamweek was the first.
Teamweek came first. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I always say that, come on, let daddies watch the soccer match. Don't don't disturb me.
I got companies to build here. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, I want to thank you for inviting me, and also I want to compliment you that one thing that always leads to success is hard work, smart work and hard work, and it seems that you are really hard worker, because I haven't seen any like previously. I have attended some like talks and panels that was prepared so well and so thoughtfully. So I think that you should give a big round of applause to Avery.
I'm not alone.
I can vouch for him working really hard every day.
Oh, my heart. Thank you so much. That means a lot coming from you, actually. It's nerve-wracking for me to sit across from guys like you, you know? It's like, I don't know. You never know. Maybe I ask you a question and you don't want to be friends anymore.
A stupid question. Come on. This guy knows nothing.
What an idiot. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Big round of applause for you. Even bigger round of applause for Alari Aho. Woo! Thank you so much. Don't run away too fast. Hang around, discuss, ask questions about remote working. Alari, you gonna stay for 5-10? You get 5-10 minutes? Okay. Bother Alari, bother each other, network, enjoy. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you, Lift99, for hosting Liftoff.
Woohoo!
And woo!
Party!